What is going on, all you mentees? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for an advanced look at some trade paperbacks coming out from Marvel Comics. So, let's get this started. Okay, before we get started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these trade paperbacks. Most of these trades are out in the direct market on January 20th, and then a few weeks later in the book market. And I say most because Vision has been out, but this is the newer printing of the complete collection. So let's take a look at that first. So for those of you that have been asking me if Marvel ever reprints any complete collections, they do, from time to time. And this is being one of them. Of course, this is probably because of the WandaVision TV series that's happening right now. By the way, the amazing Amanda and I are going to be talking in depth about those first two episodes tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We wanted to give enough people a chance to watch the two episodes on Disney Plus right now. So this is Tom King's Vision. It's been printed in, of course, single issues, the original 12-issue series. It's been printed in an oversized hardcover. It's been printed in smaller trade paperbacks, 2 small trades, collecting 6 issues each. But this is the complete collection. This collects all 12 issues of this masterpiece of a series. And I say it's a masterpiece because that's just my own personal opinion, but I've heard a lot of other people call it a masterpiece. This is not your average superhero story. It is your modern day take on the Vision and what would happen if the Vision took his family, his wife and his 2 kids, out to the suburbs and started living this Americana type of life. So that's what this whole series is about. Now, there's a lot more things in here. There's horror elements, there's sci-fi elements, and yes, a little bit of superhero stuff. But for the most part, it's just this family that's very, very odd, trying to live here in this neighborhood. And each one of them, the kids, the wife, and Vision, they all have secrets. Now, there's a touch upon the fact that he was married before to Wanda, or that there are other ties to Marvel characters. Of course, yes, characters show up in here. There's things from Ultron that I'm not going to spoil. So don't be too concerned about continuity, because for the most part, it does a pretty good job. It really does feel like it exists outside of the Marvel universe, though. It really feels like this is his own little pocket dimension, where Tom King is just free to write the characters as he wishes. And honestly, that works. Because for readers that have never read anything about the Vision, they won't be too lost, or they're not drowning in continuity, like some people on this channel. Uncanny Omar. Now, on top of the horror elements, the sci-fi, and the everyday life, there are some whodunit mysteries in here. There's murders, and of course, Vision is trying to figure out who exactly is doing this and why. But the least I say about it, the better off you are. Let's look at the extras in the back. The book has 288 pages. Oh, we didn't even look at the back here. Retails for $29.99. Here's the covers by Mike Del Mundo, or the actual process of the covers by Mike Del Mundo. By the way, I didn't talk about, let me make sure I don't flip through a spoiler here, that the artist that does this book is Gabriel Hernandez Walta. He is the art on every single page of this book with the exception of the covers. And that's what's back here, the extras. I think they do show, that's a beautiful cover. They do show some of Walta's sketches. Yeah, here we go. The pitch and the sketches for the characters. That is beautiful. And then the acknowledgments from Vision number 12. And of course, where else you can read about Vision and, well, his first wife there. Next up is the Immortal Hulk, Volume 8, The Keeper of the Door. Now, this is a series that I find very difficult to talk about because, one, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, and a lot of things have happened in the last 3 trades. A lot of things have happened in the entire series, but in the last 3 trade paperbacks, including this one, so much has happened. So, I started reading the first issue, so that leads to my second point. I read the first issue of this, and that's it. So, I don't want to spoil anything for myself. But these are available in trade paperback. There are 2 oversized hardcovers, a third one coming out later this year, all written by Al Ewing, and Joe Bennett does all of it in here, in this particular trade paperback. So what is the Green Door? There's a whole mystery, there's a whole sci-fi and horror elements. It's a lot like Vision. But this is the new take on the Incredible Hulk, on Bruce Banner, the Hulk. What is real, what isn't, where exactly are they? Now, one thing that I've heard a lot of people say is like, where are the classic villains? Are they ever going to show up? And all I can say is that just keep reading. I think you'll enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. I mean, we are almost up to issue, what is this? This is issues 36 through 40. So there are some villains that do appear, but that's all I will say about that. There's also some characters from Bruce Banner's past, a lot of Easter eggs in here. Because like I said, you don't know if any of this is real, at least the people that haven't read this yet, looking at this, you don't know if this is taking place inside of Hulk's head or if this is actually taking place. I will leave you to find out what is going on. Now, let's look in the back for some extras. Okay, no extras in the back, and I strongly suggest don't look back there if you're not wanting to be spoiled, just like I did. But hey, I'm taking one for the team. Just because I have not read this yet doesn't mean that I can't look back there for extras. So the way, of course, I'm censoring that final page there, but the way these are collected as far as the variants, they're on the opposite side of the normal covers. So each issue has a standard cover, and then on the opposite side are the variants or just something extra. Like I saw the Heroes at Home Hulk page from Zeb Wells and Gurihido. But this one here retails for $15.99 and collects, like I mentioned, issues 36 through 40 and has 112 pages. Here's Eternals Cosmic Origins. This is a cover by Todd Knock. I can tell immediately I love his artwork. That's what the spine looks like, and of course I'll hold up the spines here in a little bit. Here's Jack Kirby artwork. Now this is an interesting collection, but we've seen collections like this before. We've seen a Hellstorm collection like this. And what this does is pretty much, it collects just aspects of different times of the Eternals. So kicking it off with the the first 4 issues of the Eternals from Jack Kirby, Untold Tales of the Marvel Universe. This is all told through the What If stories, the backup stories, Avengers Spotlight 35. I think that's the Gilgamesh story. Oh yes, the leather jacket years, baby. Avengers 361. So it's a pretty interesting collection. If you're a completist, you're probably going to pass up on this because a lot of this stuff has been collected already in the trade paperback of the Eternals. Now, what's missing is that Avengers Spotlight, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but here's what the artwork looks like from the inside of the book. And collected, oh, that's right, they just reprinted, or I'm sorry, updated the omnibus into a better omnibus, so it's more complete. It not only collects the Jack Kirby stuff, but the Peter Gillis stuff from the 80s. But just, this is a quick explanation as to who the Eternals are. From the first issue, you're introduced to Icarus and Margot, and a few of the Eternals like Ajax. Okay, so that's where the cover comes from. Apparently, it was the Secrets from the Marvel Universe one-shot cover, which reprinted the What If backups. And the What If backups were used as a way of telling the origin of the Deviants, the Eternals, the humans, how they have ties to the Inhumans and the Kree. Now, let's keep looking back here. And all of that has been previously collected before in the omnibus, as well as the the trade paperback that I did an overview of last week. So here's the Uncanny Omar talk pretty one day. Here's the Gilgamesh story from Avengers Spotlight. And Gilgamesh is an important character for the Avengers because later on he ends up joining the Avengers. And finally, yes, I cannot wait to talk about this omnibus. This is the Avengers issue 361. So from what you saw, this is exactly what it collects. It collects the first 4 issues of the Eternals, Avengers Spotlight number 35, Avengers 361, and then the backups from What If 27 through 30. But here's the Bob Harris and Steve Epting leather jacket years. Now, what's the story about? Well, Cersei ends up joining the Avengers, and that's what this is about. The Eternals coming back and saying, hey, we want her back. But during this time, she's in love with Dane, the Black Knight. And he has kind of a love triangle. My boy was a player. He has a love triangle between Cersei and Crystal, who is currently, during this time, married to Quicksilver. Actually has a kid with Quicksilver. Man, that is some soap opera drama, but I loved it. And still to this day love it. And for those wondering, this issue, 361, will be collected in the Avengers the Gathering Omnibus, and I'll be doing an advanced look at this in the upcoming weeks. As a matter of fact, this literally says to be continued in the Avengers the Gathering Omnibus, but I'm not going to spoil the back. Let me see if there's anything extra. Nope, no extras in the back, so let's go back here. The book retails for $17.99 and has 160 pages. So again, kind of just different times of the Eternals in the Marvel comic universe. Alright, it is spine watching time. Here is where you want to pause the video, put me on mute, unless you've had me on mute the entire time. Why would you do that? And take a pause here. But let's go ahead and keep going. Dawn of X, Volume 11. I realize this is probably a spoiler for some people, but not if you read Dawn of X number 10. But there's really nothing I can do about that. That is literally the cover. But here is the 11th volume. And people have been asking me, how long are they going to keep going with this? I believe volume 16 is the last one solicited. But before we go any further, to clarify everything, including Diamond and Amazon, here is the actual content. New Mutants 10 and 11. Wolverine number 1, and I'll explain why that's there again, Excalibur number 10, and Hellions 2 and 3. And if you're not reading Hellions, oh man, that's like one of the best books out of Dawn of X. So, let's talk about why, I think this kicks off, if I'm not mistaken, with New Mutants. Yeah, both issues of the New Mutants. This is the Prison stuff, and let's keep going with why Wolverine is collected in here, because I don't want to spoil these, because this is a two-parter that wraps up some of his storylines. Aha, here we go. So Wolverine, we've already had it collected. Why is it in here? Now, when I did an overview of the Wolverine trade paperback from Dawn of X, not the Dawn of X, there was a Part B and a Part A to issue number 1. Part A was the Ben Piercy story that's pretty straightforward, and then Part B is more about Wolverine fighting Dracula and vampires, and this is what the phenomenal artwork looks like, and this is done by Viktor Bogdanovic, who has a very similar style to that of Greg Capullo, Todd McFarlane, but you can kind of tell in the way that his panels are laid out, his faces, and then the action sequences. They are freaking awesome and brutal, but that's what his artwork is. A lot, actually, very similar to Greg Capullo in the facial features, too. The way that he draws faces. But you have Omega Red back and his ties to why vampires are going after him. It's a pretty cool story, but it was not collected in the previous Dawn of X because, here's what some of the action stuff looks like. That was Part A that was collected, so this is Part B. So I'm glad that they kept it because I was worried that they weren't going to put it into a Dawn of X book. Here we have Excalibur. And this is all starting to set up the events of X of Swords. Because we go all the way up to Excalibur 12, and then we get X of Swords as part of the main event in issue 13. And then, hells yes, Hellions 2 and 3. Now, I've done an overview of the first trade paperback, but now we see it here collected in the Dawn of X trades. This is one of my favorite new series. This is freaking awesome. It is written by Zeb Wells. Steven Segovia is the artist on it. I can't show what happens next because it is completely unexpected. And I really need to do a... Well, I guess that's not much of a spoiler if she's in the cover. But the Goblin Queen shows up. So you know that Mr. Sinister's here. But the way that Sinister deals with her and Havoc and this love triangle between her, Havoc, and Cyclops, he's just kind of snickering around going, yeah, I love this drama. I love that. This new take on Sinister is so different and so awesome. So you have the Orphan Maker, you have Nanny, you have Quainon. I can't believe I'm calling her that. I'm so used to calling her for decades Psylocke. Wild Child from Alpha Flight, and probably some people remember him from the Age of Apocalypse. And Scalp Hunter, who is now not going as Scalp Hunter anymore, but going by his last name, Grey Crow. And of course, Havoc leading that team. Oh, and Empath. Now let's look in the back for some extras. So here we have the variant covers. This is the Days of Future Past variant right there by Javier Rodriguez, who I've just grown to love lately, ever since the History of the Marvel Universe. More variants, and then some page art from inside the books. And where else you can read Dawn of X. Now, this book retails for $17.99. It does have a parental advisory thing down there. Logo, whatever. It's not a sticker. Mainly because of those issues of Hellions. Let's just say it's pretty violent, but it's awesome. And it, yes, I already said it retails for $17.99. It has 176 pages. Last but certainly not least is the Conan Chronicles Epic Collection, The Song of the Belit. Here is the spine, and then the back. Now this one retails for $44.99. And this collects the years 2012 to 2014 of Conan. Now, between these two epic collections, The Horror Beneath the Stones and Song of the Belit, none of this was collected in the Colossal Conan Omnis, if you have those. If you have volumes 1, 2, 3, none of this was collected in those Colossal Conans. So this is all new stuff. It's been reprinted before by Dark Horse in their, what was it called? Omnibus Annual. I can't remember maybe it was called Omnibus, but they were the soft cover stuff. So this is the stuff from Brian Wood. It collects issues of Conan, the 2012 series, 7 through 25. Let's go back here for a second. And the interesting thing about this is that I literally just read this story. The original Marvel Comic Years version of this, about a couple of months ago, collected in the Conan Omnibus Volume 4. So it is the story of Belit and Conan, their love or lust for each other, rather, and what happens. Because Conan can't have a happy ending, right? What happens to Belit? Well, it's all told through this. And it's interesting to compare the two versions. And I'm sure those are not the only two versions of the story of Belit. By the way, this right here is Becky Cloonan, who blew up, like, all over. She is all over the place on art at DC Comics and doing her own stuff. But it's not just Becky Cloonan. There's a whole bunch of artists here. You have Vasilis Lolo, the clan Shavli. You also have the talent of Leandro Fernandez and Mirko Kolak, just to name a few of the artists that are gracing their work here in the pages of Conan. So yeah, this is a pretty depressing story for Conan. And there's a lot of things that happen through this that you're wondering, man, that's not fair. Like, that's not cool. And it happens differently than the way that it happened in the original Marvel years. I wouldn't say it's a lot more brutal or detailed, because honestly, I think the Marvel Comics, even though it was part of the Marvel Comics code, did a phenomenal job with the way they handled it. And man, this sucks that I can't talk about it, but if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. Now let's keep looking back here for a change in the artwork. But yes, none of this stuff was collected in the Colossal Conan books, and it was previously collected in the yearbook. I can't remember what it was called. Please, somebody in the comments down below. Dark Horse had a yearbook or omnibus, whatever the big fat soft cover trades were called. They were the last of the Conan books to be released. And let's look in the back for some extras. So we have the sketch to issue number 13, and then the finished product. This is from Massimo Carnevale. The book, by the way, has 436 pages. And that, as they say, is that. Now, these books are available from our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online source for collected editions up to 50% off retail price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on excellent packaging, so your stuff gets to you in excellent condition, and they have amazing customer service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And for all you Minties that are watching, if you're a first-time customer, don't forget to mention that Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a promotional credit on free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your source for the hottest books with deep discounts, customer service, and excellent shipping that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and the page count of each of these trades. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you're picking up. Are you a fan of all the Epic collections? Are you trying to get all the Conan stuff? Are you a fan of the way the Dawn of X is being collected? Are you hoping that they'll do an omnibus, an oversized hardcover? We already know that Marauders and that Excalibur are getting oversized hardcovers, but is this the way that you prefer to read it? I would love to know all those comments down below. Please don't forget to hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We can be found on Redbubble and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember, everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, and much love to all of you.